Hello my friends, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about Roblox is Unbreakable. I said in the comments section of my AUT Evolution video that I was not going to do a game review on this game, and I am still not going to do a game review on this game. That being said, I was hoping that the hype for this would die down and people would stop asking me to play it, but they did not, so here we are. To put it bluntly, Roblox is Unbreakable is basically just budget YBA. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I see it. And before we talk more about why exactly I think this game is just basically budget YBA, I want to make it perfectly clear that the reason that a lot of these quote-unquote reviews or overviews of games that I don't want to review take so long to come out is because I don't like ruining people's dreams. I'm well aware that developers put a lot of time and effort into their games. And I'm also well aware that a lot of the developers on Roblox are less than experienced. I mean, for God's sakes, the vast majority of them are more than likely minors after all. And so those things being said, that's why I almost always wait to do any of these reviews unless I really like what I'm reviewing. If someone asks me to play something and I go and I play it and I like it, then the very first thing that I want to do is review it and get that review out as soon as possible. Or at the very least get a first impressions out so that more people can play a genuinely good game. But when something just isn't good, I don't feel any sort of motivation to just put out a video shitting on people. Because believe it or not, I don't enjoy just actively shitting on people. But whatever, that's my 2 cents out of the way. Let's talk about this game, shall we? Putting it into simple terms, Roblox is Unbreakable is YBA with far worse feeling combat, lag issues, less content, and yeah, that's about it. The takeaway is there is really no reason to be playing Roblox is Unbreakable right now outside of being really bored of YBA and wanting to do something different. But even then, it's not all that different. So it's not like you're gonna be getting some massive difference in gameplay between Roblox is Unbreakable and YBA. And so the question I think that has to be asked here is how can so many people hype up a game that just isn't worth playing over the competition? Like, maybe I'm in the minority here, but the biggest and most important thing that you do in these kinds of games is fight things, whether it's other people or the AI. And fighting things in YBA feels phenomenal. The combat is super smooth. The attacks you have don't feel stilted, animations match those attacks, and you feel like you have the freedom to use your movement and your abilities without just getting bogged down. Roblox is Unbreakable? Yeah, no. The game feels like it's going for a YBA combat kind of blueprint, as you can seemingly use your barrage during stun, but the feeling of being stunned, the animations that match your attacks, and some movement and control oversights make it just feel bad. Even something as simple as trying to start a run while walking backwards doesn't let you do that. And before someone crawls out of the woodworks and tells me, Eclipse, of course you can't run while walking backwards, why not? It's a video game about punching ghosts. What's wrong with that? Nothing sucks more than walking backwards and pressing your run key and having absolutely nothing happen and then get the shit beaten out of you because your run didn't start. Or how about getting slightly lifted off the ground, pressing dash, and having nothing happen, because your dash doesn't work while you're airborne. Something that's incredibly simple and seriously small, but makes a massive difference in gameplay. And these are 2 just minor control issues that make the game's combat not feel good. They're 2 things that I don't see how it could be feasibly possible that anybody testing this game couldn't have caught. You're telling me at no point during the development of the game, anybody on the development team or testing team or whatever wanted to walk backwards and start a sprint? I just don't see how that's possible. It's almost impossible for me to describe the feeling of trying to fight things in this game if you haven't played it yourself. It doesn't feel fluid, it doesn't feel free, it's restricted. That's the best way I can sum it up. And if the most important thing that you do in the game and the thing that you do the most amount of time feels restricted, yeah, that's a real problem. Problems with the game are not just limited to combat, and that's probably not that hugely surprising. The maps that you play on in this game are massive, and while there are fast travel points, you can't actually see where the fast travel points are going to take you. This can lead to some serious confusion because fast travel costs you money to use, and at the early stages of the game, that money can actually be fairly important. So you won't necessarily want to use the fast travel to go somewhere if you don't know where it's gonna put you. But the issue of large maps and fast travel is multiplied tenfold when there are areas that don't have fast travel. Simply put, the distance between the zombie city, I forget what it's called, sorry not sorry, and Dio's castle is massive. And there is not any fast travel between there and the castle, which basically means you have to walk. And when you're walking around, well, you run into another age-old Roblox problem. I don't even say Roblox JoJo anymore because it's just a Roblox problem, and I don't get it. Welcome back to Invisible Barrier Hell. Why game developers seem to have such a hard time with putting real walls on their maps, I do not know. But we're back at it again with more nonsensical invisible walls and getting stuck on literally nothing. I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge fan of getting stuck on literally nothing. If there's somewhere you don't want the player to go, don't show it as if the player can go there and then block them off by an invisible wall. Just put a solid wall. I don't know why this is rocket science, but apparently it is, so I'm saying it here. Got a little bit off topic though. Point being, distances you need to travel are massive. Fast travel sometimes is not available. Now in terms of the other things that you'll be doing, it's probably fighting against the AI. So is the AI in the game at least serviceable? No, it's not. The AI in Roblox's Unbreakable isn't bad per se, but it's definitely got some problems and it can be incredibly frustrating if the things that can happen do happen. Namely, the biggest problem with the AI, in my opinion at least, is that it does not play by the player's rule set. And by that I mean it's frame perfect while using moves to try to escape combos or potential combos. And if it's in a blocking state, unless you have something that can't be perfect blocked, it is impossible to block break them, as they'll perfect block you every single time. The AI not playing by players' rules can feel really cheap when they have basically all of the same moveset that a player can have. And so when someone attacks you out of a barrage for seemingly no reason, or perfect blocks you no matter what, regardless of what you do, it just leads to frustration. The AI also has the old AUT problem of magic teleportation, which just makes me assume that whatever coding they used for the AI was likely the same as the old AUT AI. What I mean by that is the AI's attacks will often catch you from like a mile away when you dodge back, because if you're at a certain distance from the AI, it will just teleport to you, sometimes teleporting right behind you. I imagine this is some sort of quirk to make sure that the AI isn't just totally brain dead, but what it really does is once again lead to an annoyance where the AI just doesn't seem like it's human. A normal person can't magically teleport behind me, and the AI shouldn't either, but it can. Now, all these things that I'm getting more specific into are kind of pointless to even touch on. I could have come in here and just said it was budget YBA, go play it for yourself and see, and that would really be all I had to say. But I felt the need to justify at least some of my problems with the game, and while I have others, I'm not gonna go into all of them because I don't want this to just be a teardown video, like I said. The point was to talk about it because people keep asking me to talk about it. Now the thing about Roblox's Unbreakable is that it's not all bad. It's hard pressed to find a game that makes no innovations and doesn't even try, because I think it's pretty clear that the game developers are trying. It wouldn't make sense that they would make a game if they didn't want to try. The fact that you're actively encouraged to work with other players to bring down enemies, as you'll get the same reward regardless of how much damage you've done, is really cool. It sucks in YBA when you have to do an X amount of damage in order to complete your quest, and leads to those moments where only one person can get rewards for bringing down a boss. Roblox's Unbreakable doesn't have this problem, and I think it's a lot better for it. The game also has the benefit of this huge challenge board. It's basically like milestones from Halo, although none of you have played that game, so you won't even know what I'm talking about. Effectively, you get rewards for just doing general things that you would already be doing in the game. It makes it so that you're always progressing regardless of what you choose to do. Something as simple as blocking attacks or taking damage after you do so many will earn you one check towards a milestone, and you'll get a reward because of it. I think that's a really good idea, and I'm surprised I haven't seen it replicated too much elsewhere. The game also has a real shop, where you can actually buy items, something truly unheard of in the YBA era of gaming. Why the YBA still doesn't have a shop is beyond me. I don't have a goddamn clue. But Roblox's Unbreakable has one. Thank the Lord. Now, the fact that you can buy an arrow and fail the arrow and have no idea why unless you Googled it is complete and total bullshit. And the reason that I almost didn't make this video because I almost didn't even play the game. Quick little anecdotal story for you. I started up the game, I got to London, I got to the quest where Speedwagon wants $1,500, and I found the black market guy. I had the $1,500, but I wanted to see if I could get an arrow to make my life easier farming the enemies. So instead of spending the $1,500 on my quest, I spent it on an arrow. And then I died for no reason, and Alt F4'd the game, because that. I don't know what kind of sadistic son of a bitch decided to make it so that an arrow can fail for absolutely no reason, and you have no idea why it failed, but here we are. I got sidetracked and went back to negatives, I'm sorry. I just had to get that off my chest. That was unbelievable. Anyways, to go back to the original purpose of making this video, and the end-all be-all takeaway is there's just no reason to be playing this game right now. YBA does just about everything Roblox's Unbreakable does, but better. And so it does confuse me a little bit as to why the developers put this into the market in its current state, but I have to respect them for trying at the very least. I mean, for God's sakes, I have no idea why they made this game. This very well could be a passion project made by a singular person just for the sake of, I want to make a fun game for my friends to play. Or it could have been an attempt to overthrow YBA. I hope it's the former and not the latter. So I guess at this stage in the video, I'll offer up my advice from a non-game developer on what people need to be doing with their future JoJo games if they want to have a chance. And the first thing is that if you're going to copy YBA's formula, you need to have a reason to play the game over YBA. If it's just budget YBA, or YBA but worse, then people aren't gonna stick around for very long. YBA's combat especially is almost lightning in a bottle, and if your combat is similar in mechanics but the feeling is worse, then what was even the point to begin with? And in terms of the amount of content, YBA's been out for a hot minute, so it's nigh impossible for you to release a game in the current market with more content than YBA. So it's totally acceptable to see less stuff in a game, but you can't have less stuff and worse feeling gameplay. That's just a recipe for disaster. Innovations and changes to the formula, like the milestones menu, just aren't enough to carry the game on its shoulders. And so if you are going to go ahead and try to do the YBA formula, you need to not only do as good, if not a better job of their current systems that they have in place, but also have some sort of unique reason to pick your game over theirs. Now, what those unique reasons are, that's not for me to say because I'm not a creative person. But the end all be all is, if you want to beat YBA, you've got two options. Either do YBA, but better, or make something truly unique. With that, I'm done here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe. If not, don't, and have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.